What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here, and today I bring you another video for Gunfire Reborn. Now today I want to talk about the two heroes that you have access to when you start playing Gunfire Reborn. Really, there's one hero you start with, and you'll get the second one pretty quickly, so we're going to talk about both of them today and kind of get a feel for which one you maybe want to play. So, let's go ahead and dive right in. The first hero that you are going to start the game with is the Cat. Now, unfortunately, I can't read this. I think it says Chinese. I'm not able to read this, so unfortunately, I can't really give you the actual name of the character, but that would be really cool. If anyone knows the name of these characters, hit me up in the comment section below. We can check them out. Alright guys, so a mysterious visitor from the spirit realm who is proficient in alchemy and the elemental arts. With his alchemist expertise, the crown prince is able to trap and freeze the movement of his enemies with the energy orb. His hidden background has made him even closer to the elements. He combines various elements skillfully to create extraordinary effects. So he has two basic skills. His first skill is Energy Orb, which is his E ability. He launches a magical orb that explodes upon contact, dealing 600 damage to all enemies and freezing them for 2 seconds. His Smoke Grenade is his Q ability. He tosses Corrosion Smoke Grenade, which will produce a highly corrosive smoke screen that lasts for 5 seconds upon landing and dealing 150 corrosion damage each second to all enemies in the smoke screen. Then he has Ascension abilities, talent abilities, which is Energy Orb cooldown minus 2 seconds, Max Shield plus 20, Smoke Grenade Radius plus 40%, Shield increase by 5% when Energy Orb hits an enemy, and the lower your shield, the faster it recovers. For each 10% shield loss, shield recovery increases by 5%. Now let's take a real quick look at his ascensions. He has 3 separate ascensions: the Orb, the Smoke, and the Element. So we'll focus on Orb first. The Orb has increasing duration of freeze, totaling up to 6 more seconds and a negative 30% cooldown time. He has Blinding Sphere, plus 2 meter to explosion AoE, plus 6 meters to explosion AoE for Energy Orb damage and control effects bypass barrier, and Energy Orb plus 50% damage for each target it hits. Energy Bolts, Energy Orb's damage plus 600% and freeze enemies' movements. Power Source, Energy Orb has 5 more charges. Energy Blade, after casting Energy Orb plus 300% weapon damage on next hit and deal 50% damage to enemies adjacent to targets. And Aftershock, Energy Orb has a 50% chance of exploding twice, 30% for 3, and 10% for 4. So the Energy Orb trees is very, very good for a couple different builds. The first build is a CC build where you combine the 6-second freeze and the 30-second cooldown time with the increased explosion AoE in order to gather more areas in it, and having more charges from Power Source. There's also a damaging build where you can take Energy Bolt for a 600% damage and add in the Energy Blade skill, allowing you to deal more damage on the next target hit with a weapon, as well as combining it with Aftershock. Now, of course, these are not always perfect builds, but those are the two sort of semi-good builds that work with the Orb. Most people I've played with tend to go the CC, which makes it very, very strong. Now, the Smoke tier, we have Hex Smoke, negative 50% damage, negative 70% damage dealt, and plus 40% damage taken to enemies for 20 seconds when they are hurt by smoke grenades. Backpack Expansion, Smoke Grenade capacity plus 12, recover 1 grenade for every 2 grenade tosses. Advanced Shield, after casting the Energy Orb, shield recharge plus 90% for 20 seconds. Shield recharge can't be interrupted once it begins. Elemental Shield, after using the Smoke Grenade, plus 40 max HP plus 40 max shield, and gain immunity to elemental effects for 20 seconds. Cover Smoke, minus 60% damage taken when stand in smoke area. The effect lasts for additional 6 seconds when you leave smoke area. Toxic Smoke. Smoke grenades damage plus 500% and gain a 100% additional damage each second after explosion. Now, the smoke grenade tends to be sort of one that I don't personally focus on. I use it sort of as like a nice little damage boost with the Hex Smoke, or as a way to basically give me more survivability with Elemental Shield and Advanced Shield. You can also use it for damage with Toxic Smoke. You can also use it for more survivability with Cover Smoke. Ultimately, you kind of want to go, again, in the damage section or the survivability section. Personally, I don't think a build built around smokes is very useful. Personally, I think it's more of a additional survivability or small damage boost. I would like to go personally towards the damage reduction. I really like Cover Smoke, because it gives you minus 60% damage taken when you stand in it. And also the Hex Smoke, which allows you to deal more damage to enemies and they deal less damage to you. Those are my two personal favorites. Then we move on to Element. We have Wildfire. After killing an enemy affected by elemental effect plus 60% rate of fire for 6 seconds. We have Elemental Rage, 120% damage against enemy and elemental effect. Electro Dominance, 120% lightning damage and 50% lucky shot chance against enemies in shock effect. We have 120% fire damage, and Energy Orb's damage type converts to fire damage with 100% element effect chance. We have Acid Dominance, 120% corrosion damage and creates smoke around a killed enemy with effects equivalent to an exploding smoke grenade. Then we have Acidic Explosion. Enemies affected by smoke grenades explode after dying. Element is another one of those things where I personally just pick one element that I want to build, whether it is acid, fire, or electric. And then I build Elemental Rage and Wildfire to get a ridiculous amount of rate of fire and a lot of elemental damage. Now, I personally believe that the Cat is a CC/elemental damage type builder. You want to focus on elemental damage with things like the Prism or the Gloves, and focus on CC with your Energy Orbs. I really think that this is a good way to have a strong, balanced build with the Cat. Now, the second unit we have is my current unit of choice, which is the Dog. A master of explosions and firearms, Al Bai's expertise with firearms allows him to control 2 weapons at the same time. At the same time, due to his passion for explosions, he has always been able to make powerful explosives. So Al Bai seems to be the Dog's name, and I love it. His talent tiers are Ammo Enhancement for 15% ammo capacity, 50 HP, 200 explosive grenade damage, 1 HP per second while dual wielding, and 50% increase to all damage while dual wielding. His E ability is Dual Wield. Wield both your guns at the same time and pump your enemies full of bullets. Lasts for 20 seconds. His Q ability is Trigger Grenade. Toss unstable, highly explosive grenade, which will explode upon hitting enemies and deal 1050 damage to all surrounding enemies. His Ascension tiers are Gunfire, Veteran, and Detonation. Explosion Enhancement in Detonation increases the explosion AoE for 2 meters up to 6 meters and increases explosion damage by 100%. Grenade Master gives a grenade capacity plus 6 with a 60% chance of 0 consumption when tossing a grenade, and you gain 1 grenade every 10 seconds. Gun Swap allows you to, after swapping weapons, gain 100% weapon damage and explosion damage for 20 seconds. Mad Bomber, it gives you 60% increased explosion damage and gain personal immunity to explosion damage with a 30% chance of dealing double damage. Precise Explosion, explosion damage plus 100% if grenades and explosive weapons deal damage to less than 4 enemies. Double Explosions, toss 2 grenades instead of 1 with no additional consumption. Detonation Tree is a huge damage dealing tree if you build it properly. You can also use the Detonation Tree to build up things like the Justice, or the grenade launchers, or the rocket launchers, which can all do a phenomenal amount of damage. One build that I personally like myself is double rocket launcher dual wield detonation. You get a tremendous amount of damage with those rocket launchers because the build damage is insane. Now, realistically, all of these are actually incredibly strong. Double explosions is probably the #1 because it is just literally double damage on your grenades. There's nothing, no downside. Gun swap is probably the least, simply because it does require you to swap a weapon, and you may not necessarily want to do that. However, if you can pick this up and there's no other options, this is of course, damage increase for your explosion damage, which of course is always good for a detonation explosion build. Then we move on to veteran. Adrenaline Rush. After killing an enemy or destroying an item, negative 40% to damage taken for 20 seconds. Survival Instincts. While dual wielding, max HP plus 90, max shield plus 45, and get 50% chance of recovering HP when which equivalents to damage taken. Golden Comeback. While dual wielding, minus 30% to damage taken, and dual wields remaining time minus 3 seconds instead of dying when getting deadly hurt. Close Call. When max HP decreased by 10%, immune to normal damage for 4 seconds. Battle Tested. Double the duration of dual wielding. While dual wielding, every 20 ammo consumed plus 2 seconds to the duration. Sharpshooter. When using dual wield, fill the magazine immediately for both of the weapons and minus 50% reload time during dual wield. Now, Veteran has a lot of interesting combinations that pair really well with different builds. You could build this to be completely secondary, where all you get is just some additional damage reduction or additional damage dealt. Adrenaline Rush gives you minus 40% to damage taken, and it doesn't actually require you to use anything special, just killing an enemy or destroying an item. Close Call. Whenever you take damage, you just are immune to normal damage. Incredible defensive skill. But realistically, the things I like here the most are Battle Tested, Golden Comeback, and Survival Instincts. This allows you to have a dual wield build that is near impossible to kill. Moving on to Gunfire. Twin Gunner. While dual wielding, weapon damage 125%, no additional ammo consumption. Last Shot. Weapon damage plus 50% for the last shot in the magazine. Lucky Ammo. While dual wielding, 40% to a lucky shot chance and do not consume ammo when hitting enemies. Sustained Fire. After killing an enemy or destroying an item, weapon damage and explosion damage plus 100% for 20 seconds. Ammo Expert. Recover 10 ammo per second and have 20% chance to not consume ammo while dual wielding. Unleashed Potential. While dual wielding, first 9 shots deal double damage. Now, Gunfire is a pretty incredible tree. There is a lot of amazing skills in there. Last Shot paired with something that has a single shot in the chamber, such as Prism or a rocket launcher, can do incredible amounts of damage. Lucky Ammo is amazing while dual wielding. You just don't use ammo as long as you're hitting a target. Unleashed Potential is potentially very strong when using an explosion build with rocket launchers because you just get to deal double damage with your shots. Overall, this guy has a bunch of amazing synergy, and in my personal opinion, the two best builds are a explosion build relying on either grenades or rocket launchers, and what I like to call the Iron Man build, which, don't worry, we'll have a guide on how to play that soon, but I'll give you a hint. It's a dual wielding glove build. It's a lot of fun. But guys, that is it for me. I hope you guys learned everything you need to know about the heroes, and it'll give you a decent idea of deciding on who you want to pick as your main, or at least the first hero you want to put your soul points into. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out today. I really hope you appreciate the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.